you. All right, we're going to go ahead and call to order the Morgan County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for November 25th, 2024. We do have a quorum this evening with all members present. And at this time, we ask Board Member Mr. Rumball to lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Rumball. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes, and we didn't receive minutes yet, so we'll postpone that till our next meeting. But the copy of the agenda was sent out to us. Are there any changes in the agenda this evening? Open for a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as sent.
Thank you. Do I have a second to that motion? Second. Thank you. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Say aye. Aye. It is approved. At this time, we'll ask Mr. Peden, the board's attorney, to swear in everybody who's going to speak this evening. Thank you, Mr. Peden. All right, folks, a couple things before we call up the first item under new business this evening. Now's a great time to put your cell phones on silent if you've got a cell phone with you. And what will happen tonight is I'll call up those signed up in favor of the petitioner first. We'll ask you to come up to the microphone and start out by giving us your name and address, and that goes for everybody that's going to speak. If I call you up to speak, and I'll call you up if you've signed in on one of these sheets, and you have since made the decision you don't want to speak, just say, I pass, and that'll be fine. But if you do want to speak, you'll have an opportunity to do so. If you're the applicant, what we really want to hear from you is, why do you need the request for an exception or a variance? What is your intent to do? And then as much explanation as you can give the board is always helpful on that. Once everybody in favor of has spoken, then we'll call up and see if anyone has signed up in opposition, give them an opportunity to speak. At that time, then, we do not accept any more comments from the public, and the board will go through some formalities that we do on each application, then we'll discuss it, and we'll call for a vote. Any questions? All right, our first item on the agenda this evening under new business is public hearing D-24-18, Samantha and Timothy Ferrand. Did I get that right? Farron, all right. Are requesting a development standard variance to allow an 8-foot privacy fence to be constructed in the front yard. Property is located at 13824 North Settle Way in Madison Township and is zoned RR. And for this application, I have Samantha signed up as the petitioner, and Tim also signed up to speak on behalf of this. Who wants to speak and tell the board what's going on this evening? All right, come on up. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. My name is Samantha Farrand, and our address is 13824 North Settle Way, Canby, Indiana, 46113. Do you want me to go ahead and explain? Okay.
Please.
So we would like to build an 8-foot fence in our front yard. To us, it is considered our side yard because we are in a corner lot. So how our house faces, it's kind of diagonal. So the fence would be on our northwest and then our east side. And then we wanted to put the fence through our driveway as well. We're not too sure on that part yet, but we wanted to go ahead and get approval for it now. We do know for sure that we want to do the 8-foot fence on our northwest side. It is behind trees, so our closest neighbor to the northwest of us, they have trees that are in between us, and the fence would be behind those trees. We have 2 small children. We have a 5-year-old and a 10-month-old. Our 5-year-old is very adventurous, likes to go outside and look for bugs and just explore our property. And so having a fence would ensure that he stays on our property, so that no one would have access to him on our property. We do also get a lot of unwanted traffic in our driveway, so there is like a little turnaround at the top of our driveway. No one uses it, so we have a lot of random cars that come and drive in our driveway. So we're hoping that with this fence, that will stop the unwanted traffic. We also have a 11-year-old dog who has been used to a fenced-in yard her whole life, so this would keep her in our yard as well. We are far away from everyone on our property. We're way off the road. Our property is like a weird-shaped L, and so the fence really would not affect anyone. We've only had one person that has said anything, but other than that, all of our neighbors have been okay with the fence that we want to do. We have a covenants, but there's no restriction on fences in our covenants. And so obviously, because we want the height to be increased, that's why we are doing this hearing and requesting the height to be increased for our fence.
Gentlemen, questions?
What kind of fence?
So we don't want to do a standard like vertical picket fence. I actually have pictures if you want to see what it's going to look like. But it's going to be a horizontal, and it's going to have like caps at the top, and it's going to be nice treated wood. We don't want to do just the normal vertical picket. So it is going to be a nicer looking kind of decorative fence.
Hold on a second. If you're going to speak, you speak from the podium only. And I'll call you up to speak. The pictures that you have, are they pictures you can leave with us?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll take, gentlemen, you want to see what it looks like? I'm kind of
I'd like to see, yes.
All right.
Do you want me to bring them up?
Yes, please. While we're passing the pictures around, there should be a pointer laying there where you're, there we go. Can you show us on the picture up here where the fence is going to be? Okay, hold on just a second. If you're going to speak, I need you back at the podium. That's all right. Guys, we only have one microphone, and we want to record everything that's being said here tonight. So if you start to speak from the audience, I'm going to stop you. And if you walk away from the podium, I'm going to stop you and call you back, all right?
Sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I had to get a little closer. So this would be the fence, the northwest. So we would do that fence right here. And then the east would go down here. And then our driveway kind of crosses over right here. So that's where we would do the fence through our driveway. Eventually, if we chose to do that. We haven't decided if we want to do trees or if we want to actually do a fence or not. But that's what we're proposing is down this property line, not the whole way, and then coming across and then going down this property line.
Okay, and then what are you going to do on that, the property line to the left as we're looking at this diagram?
Right here.
Yeah, what are you doing with that?
Nothing. So there is already like a metal fence that is this neighbor over here. And then it actually crosses into a creek. So there's really not a lot of room right there. And then there's a creek. And so we wouldn't need like a fence back behind there.
Well, you were talking about keeping your children and your dog contained.
Mm-hmm.
How is only having a fence across the front yard going to contain them?
So I think our main concern is the people like not on our property So we have 6.5 acres, so this entire property is ours, 6.5 acres. This is a huge field right here. And then this is like the creek. So our, children and pets, they can go back here and still be on our property. I think our main concern are the people up here and kind of the unwanted traffic that's coming onto our property.
Okay, so the house that is above you, do you share a drive with them?
Yes. So this is North Settle Way all the way up.
Okay, all right. And that is a shared driveway then?
Yep.
Okay, all right. And the house that's to the, I'm assuming that's north, is that right? I'm looking for some kind of indicator.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Is it on the same elevation as your house?
No, we're down below, which is why we're also asking for the 8-foot. Their pole barn and their house is up above us. And so it's like a gradual slope that comes down. So it's not like a hill, but it is a gradual slope. So they are up above us.
Where is your driveway on there?
Our driveway starts at this corner and comes down around. Our house is about right there. And then our pole barn is about right there.
And I think you mentioned this earlier, but I didn't make a note on it. From your property line to the back of the pole barn, how much distance is that, would you estimate?
From like where we want to do the fence?
Correct.
That is, I have that. We measured that to be about 286 feet long.
Okay.
Because we're not going into the easement, so we're stopping so that it doesn't go into the easement area.
All right, and obviously this picture is a little outdated, right? It doesn't show your home on there.
Right. I do have pictures of our driveway and our house and our front yard if you guys want to see that as well.
Okay, well, that's okay. Really, my question is since we're looking at this picture and it seems to be a little outdated,
Oh, there we go.
is that wood still all there that we're seeing in that picture?
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Gentlemen, any other questions?
Just curious, why 8 feet? It's more than enough to keep a 10-month-old in, I assume.
I
Or
think
even a 5-year-old.
I can probably have my husband speak to that in a second.
I mean, it's not going to keep lights out from the road or anything like that.
Do what?
It's not going to keep lights out from the road or... Now, does that help with the elevation?
It does. Because as of right now, we can see almost our entire neighbors, like pole barn, and with the trees falling off in the winter, it's now where we can see almost like into their back add-on in their house. So that would prevent us from being able to see inside of their home as well.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, any other questions for the applicant? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tim Farrand? All right.
Timothy Farrand. Address is 13824 North Settle Way, Canby, Indiana. The other thing about a lot of this is my neighbor is actually clearing out all those trees as we speak. And I wish not to see his backyard at all. He's also very nosy and has caused us quite a few issues. It's mostly a privacy thing, to tell you the truth, and I think he should have his privacy against our stuff and our privacy against his stuff. Now, the other thing is the fence across the front yard will block a little bit of light from cars because this elevation up here is a lot higher, so it will stop some of it coming in, but not completely everything. kind of looks a little, this area right here, there's also a shed. And like she was saying, like my wife was saying, there is a metal fence in that area for the neighbor. So it kind of blocks in our area over here. And you can't see their house as much as his. So, and I can explain the fence a little bit more if you'd like that, like what it's gonna be built out of and everything, if you guys would like to know more of that.
Gentlemen, any questions? No? Thank you for sharing the rest of the story. We
You're welcome.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, I have no one else signed up to speak on behalf of either in support of or in opposition to this petition. Is there anybody else here this evening about this petition? Didn't have a chance to sign in, perhaps? Nope. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, when we get done hearing from the applicant and those in support of and anybody else that wanted to speak, we end our public testimony part of the meeting. Now, the board members can certainly ask questions in our discussion if they have more questions. And if they do so, I'd ask you to come up to the microphone and to answer those. Thank you. So, again, we have an application this evening for a development standard variance. In order for the board to approve this, we have to agree that the applicant meets certain findings of facts. And on their application, it asks for a description of the request. And the applicant has written in support of this that we are requesting to be able to build a fence along the left side, right side in front of our property. Our property is oddly shaped in the size of the letter L, and we are on a corner lot. We have 6.5 acres that consist of a large field to the right of our house and trees/woods behind our house. Our house and property sit very far back from any main road. We would like to build the fence 8 feet tall and 286 feet long on the left side of the property, 8 feet tall and 162 feet long on the right side of the property, and then build a fence 6 feet tall, 85 feet long with pillars through the driveway connecting the left and right side of the property. Under section 2.1, the application makes a statement that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The applicant indicates that's a true statement. And in support of that, has written, approval of our fence request will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community because our property sits very far back from any main road and is oddly shaped, causing our house to be positioned looking at the front corner of our property. Approval of the fence at the proposed location within a front yard and side yard will not have any negative impact on the general welfare or community, as the fence will not encroach on or impede pedestrian or vehicular traffic in the area, as there are no main sidewalks or roads. Under section 2.2, the application makes the statement that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Again, the applicant indicates that's a true statement. In support of that is written, approval of our fence request will not adversely affect the use and value of the area adjacent to the property because our property sits very far back from any main road and is located behind all current houses and neighbors. The height of the 8-foot fence adjacent to the closest neighbor to the west would not adversely affect them, as their home and pole barns sit on a hill above our property, and the side of their house and back of their pole barn face our property. The approval of the fence will have no impact on their view from their back porch or front porch. Under section 2.3, the application makes a statement that the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. In support of that, the application is written, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because we have a 5-year-old son and 10-month-old son. The approval of this fence would allow our children to be able to walk around freely on our property without the concern of them leaving our property. The fence would also deter unwanted vehicle traffic from turning around in our driveway and there would be a turnaround in front of the fence for people to utilize. The fence would also, or would ensure that our dogs stay within our property line and does not go in a neighbor's yard. We also want to ensure that all our neighbors and us can maintain privacy, and we want to ensure the safety of our children and our dog. The approval of the proposed heights will also help to ensure privacy, as the neighbor's home is located higher on a hill, which increases their ability to see our property, which is why we are asking for an increased height approval. The health department states they have no objections. The surveyor reviewed and made no comment, and staff supports the petitioner's request for the variance on this. Gentlemen, open for discussion.
I have nothing.
Anyone else? No? We had one of these real recent. Was it the last meeting?
Last meeting, yeah.
Kind of a similar thing, an 8-foot fence. When it came down to it, it seemed like it was a better separation between them and their neighbors to maintain peace. 6-foot fence wouldn't block it. It sounds like we got the same issue here. Based on Tim's testimony, I would agree that they meet the findings of facts. Any other discussion? Open for a motion?
I would move to approve petition D-24-18.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. It is approved. Thank you very much. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is public hearing D-24-19. Dean Miller, on behalf of DJ Meat Properties LLC, is requesting a development standard variance to allow a zero-foot front yard setback for a covered porch addition. The property is located at 2530 South Glen Cove in Jackson Township and is zoned R2. For this application, I have, looks like the applicant signed up to speak, and no one else as a concerned citizen or in opposition to this. We'll call out at this time that the board was given a letter this evening from Ms. Parker from Painted Hills Association. Gentlemen, did you all get a copy of that? Okay, all right. Larry Miller?
Yeah, Larry Miller,
Thank you. Go ahead.
2530 Glen Cove. I'm here for a zero variance for a front porch on a existing slab. Oh. I need to say it again? I can get closer. Okay. Dean Miller, 2530 South Glen Cove, for a zero variance setback for a front porch on an existing slab.
Okay, you want to tell the board what you're doing, why you need a variance, why we should approve it?
The right-of-way goes over my porch, so I'm just looking to get just a small covered porch that's already built.
What goes over it? I'm sorry.
It's just a covered porch, just over a 10 by 13 slab, just a covered porch. A roof. It's not enclosed or anything fancy, just a roof.
All right, so what's the issue with this?
The setback, the variance. The right-of-way of the property it's less than 20 feet. Or it's more, I don't know how, it's less than 20 feet, 23 feet, and it has to be 20 feet or something like that.
Now, you've got multiple lots here.
Yes,
Does it attach another lot, or does it
No.
attach to somebody else's lot?
just a lot, it's to the house, just a porch, front porch on a house. So it has a slab, you got a single, it's just a house, and it has a slab on the front, put a porch on the front of the property, that's it.
Who owns the property closest to that porch next to you?
Painted Hills.
That's not a private homeowner?
Nope.
All
There's
right,
there's a lot between us and the other homeowner, but you can't see any of my other neighbors. I'm the only one. I'm on top of a hill. Everyone else is on the bottom of the hill. No one can see me other when they drive down the road.
All right, so it's my understanding you built this without getting any kind of permits in advance?
Right, yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah.
And you also built this without getting approval from the Painted Hills Association, is that correct?
Yes, when I bought this property, I don't know if I missed it or the homeowner, I didn't get the homeowner information, I guess, the homeowners association. I'm 51 years old, I've never had to deal with the homeowners association before, so I had no idea that I needed to tell someone I needed a roof, or I had some rotten deck boards and I needed them replaced, or.
Did they come out and tell you, hey, you needed approval on this?
I think my wife and I started working this house in April. And they came out and, would they do this in October? I was pretty much done. My wife and I have been living in the house part-time. And then they came out right at the end and said, oh, you need all this stuff. I'm like, I've been here for 9 months. What's going on? Why all of a sudden is someone telling me I need to do all? Why couldn't they tell me when I started? None of the neighbors, I've had neighbors just walk in my house. It's crazy, it's unbelievable. Not one person said, hey, you need to go talk to the homeowners association, so I didn't think nothing of it, to be honest.
Did you stop construction once you were told that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And the red tag was lifted, I don't know, a week later or so.
Gentlemen, other questions?
They're mentioning in their letter here that you had done a lot of work on the house. And I did not know that fixing things in your house, stuff like that, you had to have their permission, but they said they were issued you a stop work order, and that you got one from our farm office. Is that true, Mrs. Parker? Okay. And you stopped at that time.
Oh, yeah, yep.
For what you know of the Painted Hills Association, is it going to take to get everything the way it should be, I guess?
Just from what their letter says, I guess I got to go talk to them next. I've already sent all the letters out and all that stuff, so I'm not sure what else I need to do. I did what they told me to do. Now, this letter I just got on Friday, so I haven't had I don't know what I got to go talk to their board after I talk to you guys, is what the paper says. I've already paid they had a permit, I already paid for their permit.
So, hold on just a second. Ms. Parker, and I'm reading through staff's recommendation on this again. And under the third finding that talks about the practical difficulty, you have written, the amount of cul-de-sac right-of-way that extends onto the petitioner's property is the practical difficulty if relying on the county's GIS layer. However, the recorded plat and the county's GIS have significant discrepancies between the two. Excuse me, the plat shows a straight right-of-way across the front of the lot, while the GIS shows the curve of the cul-de-sac right-of-way cutting into the lot. And then you further go on to recommend that until this discrepancy is resolved with a stake survey, as suggested by the county surveyor's office, staff cannot recommend support or opposition to the petitioner's request until the actual location of the right-of-way is known by all.
That's correct.
And do you have anything else that you would care to add to that?
I think that's the only way to honestly be able to determine where the right-of-way is, because the plat shows it as straight across the property versus the GIS that you can see there from the curve of the cul-de-sac. So until those become reconciled, I, as well as the surveyor, agree that it's kind of hard to give an approval on this until we know where that line is.
Have you had a chance to talk to Mr. Miller about this?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right.
We only had the GIS aerial information to work from.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Gentlemen, my thought is that we shouldn't continue to hear this evening, that we should direct the applicant, if he wants to proceed with this, to get that survey in hand so we can tell what we're approving, where we're approving it before we move any further.
Would also like
Any
to see-
thoughts on that?
I'd also like to see, get in touch with Painted Hills. Although I know from Mr. Peden, I think I'm correct, that we can approve this without Painted Hills approval.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm just one of five, obviously. I don't feel comfortable hearing it until we get something from the surveyor defining where the property lines and the right-of-ways are, so we know what we're dealing with.
I just got a question, why so concerned of the right-of-way when it's a circle and an addition, and it's just a 10-foot addition on a concrete slab that was already there? Which technically, from my understanding, from the guy who came out and measured it, the house is actually illegal too. It's too close. That's what he said. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, that's why we want a survey, so
Right.
we know where everything sits and we can make an informed decision. Otherwise, we're just kind of slinging mud up here in my,
Right. I
in
mean,
my
it's not like
mind.
it's impeding anybody, any other property. There's a big tree right in front of it. There's not like a big truck.
Hey,
that
Mr.
can come
Miller,
through
I
there.
understand,
I'm
and
just-
quite frankly, all this could have been avoided if you would have
Right.
came in and sought permits from the beginning.
Right. That's
We
my own
we
personal
probably wouldn't even
house.
have
I didn't
been
think
here
it was that
tonight
big of a
having
deal.
this discussion.
Right.
So we're gonna, my recommendation is we stop, we back up, have the petitioner get the survey, and then once he's secured that, come back in front of us.
You're looking for a motion.
Well, I want to discuss it. I see how everybody else feels. That's just my opinion on it.
It seems like it's, and I probably shouldn't say it this way, it's a mess to begin with. Let's see if we can get it right.
Any other discussion, gentlemen?
Can you make the porch any smaller than it is? You're
It's
wanting
just,
to
I
do?
put it right on top of the slab that's there.
Huh?
The slab was
I know,
already
but you
there.
can always cut a slab off.
I don't even know, no one's ever told me even what I would need to do to that. No one's gave me no measurements. Like I said, there was one guy that came and measured, said 23 feet, but I don't know what that meant. So I have no idea.
I agree with John, we just need to wait and make sure we got all
All
the
right.
Ps and Qs done.
Gentlemen, any other discussion or comments on this? If not, I'll open for a motion that we continue this.
I would move that we temporarily postpone this petition until we have adequate information on the surveyor and a survey.
So are you asking for that to be a stake survey per the county surveyor's
Yes,
recommendation?
whatever the
then?
surveyor deems correct.
All right.
You want to have approval from them too, right?
Well, I don't know that
Not
Painted
necessarily
Hills
approval,
is
but
going to
he'll
give their approval,
Tell
but
us what is
some,
going on.
something to prove that he's communicated with them. I don't know how deep into the woods I want to get into that.
The Painted Hill lady that came out,
Hang on a minute, we're not hearing testimony right now from the applicant. Do I have a second to that motion? Mr. McGrath seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. It is continued, so get with Ms. Parker.
Okay.
Let's get some good direction on this, get everything the way it should be. Let's get it right the first time and come back and see us. All right, next item on the agenda this evening is public hearing SE-24-09. Mark Rodeski? Did I get that right? Somebody make a note of that, would you? Is requesting a special exception to allow a canine training facility to be established. The property is located at 2896 Centennial Road in Green Township and is zoned for ag. And for this application, I have Mr. Rodeski and two others in support. So Mr. Rodeski, if you could start out giving us your name and address and then tell the board what it is you're wanting to do and why you need us to approve a variance for you.
Mark Radesky, 2896 Centennial Road, Martinsville. We are looking to establish a.
I can't hear you. I don't know if
Sorry.
anybody else can or not.
You can move it all you
There
want.
we go. We're looking to have a boarding and training facility for canines, for dogs, and other animals. Reason why our whole family is really big into dogs and different animals. Our whole family's in the 4-H, FFJ. My daughter has been licensed as a master dog trainer, and at this facility is where we'd like to train dogs, service dogs, and other animals. We plan on, in the back part of the housing, putting a 30 to 70 foot pole barn back there that will house the dogs. And we have devices. We plan on insulating it to make sure we don't have any noise pollution. And as we stated in all this part right here that we sent in, we shouldn't have any traffic issues, people getting into the driveways off the road and getting back on the road with a circle driveway. And then we've been in contact by numerous neighbors via text and phone calls, welcoming us and supporting us with our activities that we're going to be doing there.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
My daughter would probably be able to speak more about the operation itself. She's going to be directing and doing most of the training. Then I'll be doing most of the cleanup crew.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions?
So you said dogs and other animals? You're gonna have on the property?
Mainly just dogs.
Huh?
Mainly dogs.
Dogs?
My youngest daughter wants to get a couple chickens, which we're already approved for. But it's mainly, we're looking to do the exemption for the dogs.
And they'll be contained?
Yes, yes. What is intrigued us about this property, and we've been looking at numerous properties over the past year because it's my girls' dream to have a facility with these animals, the dogs, and train them and stuff. What we enjoyed about it is we have all 11 acres. I know they got it in the paperwork that it was 8. We have that other section there, that other triangle at the bottom. It's a wooded area where we can do a lot of different things with the animals. And then again, contained in the back area there with the 30 by 70 foot pole barn.
So the entrance to the property, will that be a gate or be closed and people just can't wander in or anything?
It wasn't our intention, no. And as we looked at different things, it wasn't needed. Our driveway goes by Centennial Road and goes all the way up. So there wouldn't be any reason why anybody would be coming back there without a scheduled appointment. Because they're not going to be able to just come in and drop off anything, any dogs or anything. They'll have to have it scheduled.
I got a question. Where's your driveway at?
Not for sure how to turn this on.
Hidden.
Yeah. All right, so right here, our driveway comes right up to the house. And then back in this area right here is where the pole
I know
barn
where the
will be.
building's at, but I just didn't know where you come off the road there to get to your house.
Right here. And there's a circle driveway right there where they can turn back around.
Driveway is very hard to find.
Pardon me?
Lived there very long, have you?
No, sir. We,
Familiar with the area, very familiar. I know who all your neighbors are. So, yeah, it's not an easy driveway to find, and it's in a very hilly area.
yeah, where to find it, it comes over a hill and coming this way, and then we're at the bottom of that hill and then coming over here. And this is 30 miles per hour right in that area.
Are you gonna have any signs up?
That's our plan. So at the top of each hill, it does say hidden driveway. So there is a sign there. And we plan on putting a sign on this part of our driveway right here. We'll have a sign right there stating our business name.
If you don't see the house from the road, even now.
I'm sorry, what was that?
How far is it from where the barn's gonna be, or the building housing the dogs, and to the closest neighbor?
So it's gonna be right here. So our closest neighbor is right here.
How far is that?
I do not know. We're gonna be right here, the pole barn.
All right. Couple things that you put in your plan of operation that I had questions on.
Sure.
And if you don't know the answer to these and somebody else can speak to it better, you can defer to them. One thing I underlined is you noted housing local vacationers. So you're doing dog boarding there?
Yes, that's what the kennel's gonna be. We're gonna have training, boarding, grooming also.
So if I wanted to house my dog there, board my dog there without engaging in your grooming or training, is that a possibility?
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna be a kennel, you're gonna board dogs?
Correct.
right?
It's a boarding, it's gonna be a
Okay.
public and private.
And then you mentioned that each kennel will be insulated for noise control. What's that look like?
So the whole pole barn's gonna be insulated so we eliminate the noise. There's also different devices that are used today. And my daughter, I can have her come up and talk more about those that keep away from barking. She's been different kennels she's worked at that had these devices that had over 300 dogs and didn't have noise problems, and that's what we plan to have here. We have to live on this property, so we're not tolerating noise, waste, smells, different things like this, and we understand how important it is to our neighbors not to have that type of noise either.
What, and then you also mentioned animal turbulence. What is that?
Where did you see that part?
Under plan of operation in the fourth paragraph, it'd be in the fourth sentence towards the end.
I believe we just noted that for the technology that we have to keep the animals from being active, being noisy, barking, being unstable.
And your daughter can speak to that?
Correct.
Is that Gwen?
That's Mila.
Mila, okay, all right. Gentlemen, other questions for the applicant? No, thank you. Mila Owens?
Hello, I am Mila Owens at 2896 Centennial Road, Green Township. Right. Do you want me to give my thing first or talk about the noise?
Well, I tell you what, you signed up to speak. Why don't you talk about what you came in here prepared to talk to, and then we'll maybe circle back to some of those things.
Yes, sir. Okay. So I myself was a 10-year 4-H member, as well as I have been a 4-H leader for the dog club as well, and all those 10 years were in dog club. So that's really where I found my passion for the animals, and where I was grown up, learning how to responsibly own and handle and just be and communicate to people how to take care of these animals. So my passion through that is really just helping people, and that's where I think it boils down to with the dogs for me. I've completed over 700 hours of specialty training as I graduated as a certified master dog trainer at Conifer Canine. There I had my concentration in basic and advanced obedience, police canine, service dogs, detection, trailing, human remains, and search and rescue. My goal is just to better the community and the surrounding areas, from helping people live in peace with their animals to keeping dogs for the local shelters, changing someone's life with giving them the ability with a service dog, finding lost people, apprehending criminals, keeping narcotics off of the streets, giving families closure that they deserve when a loved one has gone missing, and public health, keeping public health risks detained. So for service dogs, I have experienced training multiple different service dogs, and I have myself have used a service dog, and I know just the difference that that has made in my own life, and knowing that anyone else can help that for a variety of things is just incredible. So that was really important to me, being able to teach hearing alert dogs, cardiac, diabetic, mobility alert, mobility assistance, allergy dogs, PTSD, migraine alert dogs, and autism dogs. So there's a lot of different things that I can do there, as well as my experience with the police canines. So I have certified over 3 canines right now. I have done apprehension work, narcotic work. We've done firearms detections. One of my dogs is actually in a school right now. They do narcotic detections as well as firearm detection, cash and tripwire, and cell phone detection. So just making sure, students don't come in with a firearm or they have, narcotics. So that was really important to me, being able to do that. I actually have a letter of recommendation from one of my officers, if you guys would like me to give that. As long as the detection dogs. So it has been incredible learning what these dogs can do with their noses and just the amount of little bit of odor that they can pick up. So I have been a part of training explosive dogs, firearms, narcotics, bedbug, termite, mold, different animals, plant matter, food, and phone, tripwire, cash, and even a cancer detection dog. So there's a lot of different things you can do with those that can really help people. And that was the really big thing for me. Those are just a few. I mean, you can imprint a dog on anything. It's really, really incredible. So my personal dog right now that I have training, he is a bed bug detection dog. And we help, as with that, it's the public health with the bed bug, the mold, and the termites. Statistically, human inspections for these 3 are only 35% accurate, but the dogs trained on these odors have a 97% accuracy rate, which is really incredible what they can do. And these statistics are from the National Institution of Health. My dog, I know already, he's 9 months old, and he has already detected bed bugs through walls. We have had up to a 12-foot high hide that he's detected bed bugs up to. He can actually detect up to a single egg, and then as well as, a large infestation. So we can catch it really early, along with that mold and those termites. So my search and rescue dogs, they find lost people, and these dogs are really important because that is much needed time. Like, it takes searching. Sometimes it can take days, where these dogs can take minutes to hours to find these people by picking up on that odor, and that could potentially save people's lives. And I have been a part of these searches, and it is just incredible to me watching these dogs work, as well as the cadaver dogs, being able to give those people just that, reassurance and that closure when they find someone, just knowing what happened, that they have their loved one to lay to rest. I actually have a cadaver dog that I trained that was actually just recently sent to the Carolinas during this last natural disaster, and was able to help the relief. He did amazing work, and I could not be more proud, even though sad that he had to go. This dog was incredible and actually alerted to a grave that was over 130 years old. that he found that people didn't even know was there. So I thought that was kind of cool. Being able to have this business on property is really important to me because of the way the property is set up. You can train all of these different fields that I've talked about previously with this property, which is really unique and hard to find. That's why with like the wooded area, teaching, there's different terrains in there with the creek and everything that I can train the dogs to go through. And it's really important from the dog's aspect to be able to work with them in any type of weather condition, any type of anything they'll see. So out here we do have deer and other animals, and so being able to have that for the dogs is very important so that one day when they're in real life, they're not getting distracted because they've seen a deer that takes off or a rabbit or anything like that. So yeah, the location really ideal for clients to be able to pick up and drop off. Being by appointment only, well, only like one person, I like to get a real good feel for each person and be able to talk to them, explain either the dog or go through a nice session. So just like about one family at a time while we're there. Yeah, so back to the noise. For the noise, so I have over 5 years of experience in a professional kennel, working there. And then, so what we have done in the past is one, training. There are a lot of things you can do training-wise to deter the dogs for barking, along with behavior modification things. So, you know, exercising them properly, making sure they're getting that training, that mental stimulation can really help minimize barking, as well as having the walls insulated so that when they do, regular breaks, so letting them outside, letting them go potty, also can minimize that barking. There are devices called bark boxes, and they actually emit a high frequency sound that deters dogs from barking. So it picks up and senses the tones of the dogs when they bark and will emit that frequency, correcting them and deterring them from barking. What I like about the bark boxes is they can be set to multiple different settings. They can go from like a 5-foot radius to 75 feet. So if you have multiple dogs, you have small dogs, or if this is the only dog barking, you know, this dog gets corrected where the other dogs won't. Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
I'll ask you 2 questions.
Okay.
Did you ever win the state in dog obedience?
What?
Did you ever win the state in dog obedience?
I did, actually.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And where did you get this training for all of this?
Yeah, so it was a Conifer Canine Dog Training College in Owen County, Spencer, Indiana.
Thank you.
Maybe I missed it, but anytime there's a dog or dogs in the premises, in the kennels, will there be a human around?
Yes, sir.
How does that happen? Tell us about that.
For what?
To tie into Mr. McGrath's question of, anytime there's dogs there, is there a human there?
So, so for the kennels, I mean, we will live on property. So there's constantly movement of me and my family on property at all times, moving around and checking things out. So during our open hours, when dogs are either going to be outside or being training, there will always be somebody supervising them. They are never left out in a running pen alone, anything like that. The only time they would be unsupervised would be when they're just left in their kennel where they sleep at night. Ideally, I would like the dogs not to spend a ton of time in the kennel. I think it can be sometimes harmful for their mental state when they're just put away in a little box and left alone. So I like to get, you know, me or my family members able to get them out, supervise, and watch them.
So you and your dad and Gwen decide to go on vacation. Who takes care of the dogs?
Yeah, so I actually, through Conifer Canine, that is, they have their own training facility and their own training clients, as well as they run the college portion. I have multiple people that I talk to that have the same certification as me, that are certified in the behavior modification and obedience, that have already expressed that they would come stay at my house and watch, as well as, for the most part, knowing that we have this business, we will make sure that there is a family member home, because it's important to us, the business, to maintain the safety and security of all the dogs. So scheduling vacations where someone is still able to be there with them.
And you have, I'm looking at the plan of operation, it says that up to 20 dogs, is that correct? No more than 20?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 20, I think we were looking at 20 to 30 kennels, but no more than that at all.
I'm sorry?
We were looking somewhere between 20 to 30 kennels, but no more than that.
I still didn't get that. Are you saying you're, 20 is going to be the maximum?
Okay, yeah, 20.
Okay, all right.
You have a fenced area when you're working with customers that when they don't possibly have control of their dog, that they will not get off of your 11 acres?
Yes, so that is the hope that when we build the barn that we would have those enclosed running pins so that when I do have clients, I have a training facility in the barn that I'm able to work with them that is closed off. The dogs wouldn't be able to escape along with a fenced area of the yard.
What do you do with all the dog poop?
We're wanting to do I can't think of the word.
Composter.
Yeah, well, we were gonna do a dumpster and have
No, I'm sorry, what?
a dumpster. We're gonna do a big dumpster and have a company be able to come pick it up, I believe is what was talked about.
A dumpster? Okay. All right. Gentlemen, questions?
One more, when you're there working on the property, will you know when somebody else enters the property?
Yeah, so we were actually talking about getting sensors down our driveway so we are alerted to when people potentially come up the driveway. That way we know when there's people there.
Now, one question. I've had dogs in kennels. Let's say that it's getting that time of the year, December, January, early February, it's coyote mating season. Now, when they go to haul, are your dogs gonna haul? I'll guarantee they do. You think that's gonna be,
Oh, the howling.
are you gonna be able to put them in, or they can have an outside run at all times?
So they're gonna be inside all night. They won't have access to the outdoors anytime.
The runs will not extend outside where they can go out there?
No.
Okay, you answered my question, thank you.
And I do have that letter of recommendation if you guys would like to see that.
Unless the board wants to see it, I think you spoke.
Okay, it's from Owen County?
Yeah, Owen County, he's one of my deputies that I worked with.
We did that years and years and years ago, that kennel.
It might have been before my time. Gentlemen, any other questions for Gina, the dog whisperer?
I'd like to see your certification note, just out of curiosity.
I don't have a copy with me.
What did you say you had there?
This is a letter of recommendation from one of my officers stating my
thank you.
credibility.
Other questions, gentlemen? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gwen? Okay, all right. Okay, we didn't have anybody else signed up. Anybody else here tonight on behalf of this application? No? All right. This is a request for a special exception use. In order for the board to grant this, we have to agree that the applicant meets certain findings of facts. Am I required to read all these all the time?
Gloss through it, nobody will know the difference.
I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk, but you know what? Keith enjoys it sometimes, so for his benefit only, I'll go ahead and read them. So again, in order for the board to grant this, we have to agree that the applicant meets findings of facts. And in this case, there are numerous ones, and the first thing it asks for is a description of the request, and I think between the applicant and his daughter, they did an outstanding job of doing that, so I'm not going to try and repeat that. So under 2.1, the application makes a statement: the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special exception will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, or general welfare, and the applicant indicates that's a true statement. To support this as written, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the property is surrounded by an 11-acre tree farm use that will not be adversely affected by dog care, given the nature of the tree farm. To the south border, Where our structure will be is farmland, in parentheses, crops. From the north and west is surrounded by 33-acre neighboring forest. East of the structure will be approximately 8 acres of our trees that leads to Centennial Road. Under 2.2, the application makes a statement that the special exception will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, and the applicant indicates that's a true statement. In support of that, they have written, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because none would be adversely affected for reasons stated above. The property is zoned agricultural district. Cows/horses/other farm animals are mostly as intensive use as dog training and boarding. The operation has rigorous standards to ensure odor and noise are mitigated, including but not limited to enclosed fence-in area for outdoor training and dumpsters to control waste. Under 2.3, the application makes a statement that the establishment of the special exception will not impede or substantially alter the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. To support this, the applicant has written, this establishment of the special exception will not impede or substantially alter the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding properties as it sits on 11 private acres, surrounded by farmland, 33-acre tree forest, with the structure being back into the tree farm and off the road. The boarding should go unnoticed. Under 2.4, the statement is adequate utilities, access road drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Applicant indicates that's a true statement. And in support of that, writes adequate utilities, access road drainage, and other facilities will be provided once the structure on the property is available. The structure will be property lighted with water and proper septic, either pumped to the petitioner's septic or a new one for the structure. There will be a circle drive near the structure to make it easy for traffic coming in and off of Centennial Road, but the traffic is light. It is as it is for drop-off and pickup for boarding and not daily care. Under 2.5, the application makes a statement that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designated as to minimize traffic congestion on the public roadways. The applicant indicates that's a true statement. To support that, has written the property will see limited unexpected traffic as the petitioner requires scheduled pickup and drop-off of animals. Centennial Road already has a controlled speed limit of 35 miles per hour and road signs that state hidden driveway at both sides of the property. This should not interfere with the normal daily road traffic nor any other matters needed by the county. And lastly, under 2.6, the statement is a special exception will be located in a district where such use is permitted and all other requirements set forth in this UDO that are applicable to such use will be met. The applicant indicates that's a true statement. To support that, writes, the current zoning classification does not include boarding and kennel. The property was previously zoned for agriculture, which allows for this exception. The petitioner's goal is to meet all requirements and to go unnoticed to the surrounding area with the exception of servicing the community. The Health Department makes a statement that the Indiana Department of Health Commercial Division will need to be contacted to determine if the existing septic system is adequate for the proposed business. The surveyor has reviewed and made no comment. And staff, in a nutshell, states that they believe the petitioner has the ability to address all the special exception requirements and recommends approval in addition to any conditions that may be imposed by the board. Ms. Parker, were there things in particular on this that you were concerned about that I didn't detect in my review of it?
No, I didn't have anything in particular. That was just room in case the neighbors had any concerns, which
Okay.
obviously they don't. Thank you.
Thank you. So gentlemen, we're open for discussion on this application.
She answered the one question, 8 acres, you can hear dogs bark for 8 acres, I'll guarantee you that. But if they're gonna have them housed indoors, I would think that would be minimized quite a bit. I know all your neighbors. I don't see any problem with it. The worst can happen is they won't be training dogs there. It's not like it's gonna be something very difficult.
Other discussion, gentlemen?
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
Yeah.
I'll move that we approve petition SE-24-09 with all findings of fact being found true.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve with no conditions. Do I have a second to that motion? Mr. McGrath seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye, it is approved unanimously. All right, good luck, guys. Thank you very much. Nice job, young lady. I don't think you're old enough to have that much experience with a dog, but I'll take your word for it. Oh, yeah, thank you. Gentlemen, I need a quick 5-minute break.
All right.
All right, we're going to be back in 5 minutes, folks. We're going to take a quick break.
Water.
you're back on.
Chris?
All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to go ahead and continue our meeting here. Next item on the agenda is public hearing U-24-05. Adam Kivett is requesting a use variance to allow an existing personal fitness training facility to be an approved use in an ag zoning district. Property is located at 5727 West McClure Road in Gregg Township, and I have Adam Kivett signed up. And Adam is the only one signed up on behalf of this application this evening. Mr. Kivett.
Hello, Adam Kivett, 5727 West McClure Road, Monrovia. Requesting the variance. One of the main reasons I'm requesting is the drive where the barn is does not have an address. So the 5727 is basically the business address. And the one issue we run into is when clients are coming, when they put the number in on their phone, they can't get to the right place. Now, we do have a sign up there at that entrance, but I'd like to get the use variance in place and apply for that address for that to better serve the clientele.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to tell us?
I think that, for the most part, covers that. The business has been in place since 2008. I think the drive's been there since 2001. It was originally an agricultural barn.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen, questions for the applicant?
You said in here, how long has this been going on?
It's been in business since 2008.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
So are you running the business then?
I'm currently not. At one time, I was a 50% owner. My wife and I recently got a divorce. And through the divorce settlement, I own the property, and I have a 5-year lease with my ex-wife. She can operate out of that building. So it would be nice to have it would just be nice to have the address there, because what happens is sometimes clients will come into the drive and she doesn't currently live at that house anymore. So during the daytime, I work, so I'm not there, so there's nowhere to turn the people back around. So we've got signage up the road to try to mitigate the problem, but it doesn't always work out like that. And some of the clientele come from pretty far away, so they're not always familiar.
Thank you. Gentlemen, questions? No? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. This is an application for a use variance. In order for the board to grant this, we have to agree that the applicant meets, in this case, 5 findings of facts. Under Section 2.1, the statement is the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Applicant indicates that's a true statement. Support of that has written there's no harm to the public safety and general welfare because the business has existed in this location since 2008 with no complaints. It generates no loud noise or excessive traffic. Entrance is well marked with a sign and no blind spots when entering or exiting. A normal busy day would consist of 5 to 6 clients spread over a standard workday. Under 2.2, the statement states that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The applicant indicates that's a true statement. To support that, writes the use and value of the adjacent property will not be affected value-wise, as traffic is not much different than a family coming and going. The property around most of the building is a family farm owned by me and my brother. The only home nearby is my own. There is an undeveloped 10-acre tract that borders the west side, not owned by me or my family, that has had no activity for the last 40-plus years. There's a fence and tree line that separate the 2 parcels. Under 2.3, The statement is, the need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved. The applicant indicates that's a true statement and states in support of that, the need for the variance is to legitimize the business in an ag district and to allow an address to be issued for the business to better help customers with a precise address and the occasional delivery. Under 2.4, the statement is the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which a variance is sought. The applicant indicates that also is a true statement. To support that, as written, I have a recent divorce in which my ex-wife, through our divorce agreement, can continue to operate her business, and in parentheses, Kivett Kinetic Solutions, from the premises as agreed upon by the court/judge. And lastly, under 2.5, the statement is the approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. The applicant indicates that's a true statement. And to support that, has written the approval is just for the single use and does not open the door to other types of businesses. The surveyor made no statement on it. The health department did note that the Indiana Department of Health Commercial Division will need to be contacted to determine if the existing septic system is adequate. Staff's recommendation is that the applicant has met the findings of facts and would support the approval of this location. Noting that the approval ends for that use when the ex-wife closes or relocates the business from this location. The gentleman open for discussion on this application?
I've driven by there and never seen any problems, so I don't see any problems now.
Yeah, I don't see any issues with this. I think it's consistent with other things that we've approved in the past. Not that we don't look at each thing independently, but I see no issues with this. Other discussion? Open for a motion?
I'll move that we approve.
Go on, keep going.
I move that we approve petition U-24-05 with all findings of fact being found true.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second, Mr. Ron?
I have a question on this. We would ask that it end with the ex-wife closes the goods business. I would like that included. That is in the approval of
Do
Mrs.
you,
Parker.
do you care to modify your motion to include that? All right, thank you.
Then I'll second it.
Thank you. All right. It ends when the ex-wife relocates or ends the business there. Thank you. All in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. It is approved unanimously. Good luck. All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is public hearing U-24-06. Jeremy and Hannah Abraham, on behalf of Abraham Properties LLC, are requesting a use variance to allow a farm and heavy equipment service and repair facility to be established. The property is located at 4989-4995 South State Road 135 in Jackson Township and is zoned for ag. For this application this evening, I have four persons, including the applicant, signed up to speak, and one person as an interested party. And I have Jeremy Abraham signed up first.
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm Jeremy Abraham, 2740 South Hickey Road, Morgantown, Indiana. My wife and I do own the Abraham Properties LLC. We bought this property back in 2021, And basically what you see there on the screen is what has been there for quite some time. A few familiar faces here on the board. We went through the rezoning process over the last couple of months, and working with the folks that live along Farm Drive to the south and obviously on back to the east. The rezoning was unfavorable, and through Laura Parker and her office, and meetings with the folks who live on Farm Drive who would have the greatest impact from us doing anything there, the variance for this one new business that would be brought in is the direction that we've proceeded. The business that we would like to bring in is currently operating in Johnson County in a couple of different locations. His ideal with this piece of property is it consolidates in two separate places into one like home office for him. The name of the company is LA Farms, like I say, currently operating out of Johnson County. He specializes in buying, repairing, and reselling agricultural and construction equipment. He has some light manufacturing of small tractor parts, small tractor items. I know I've used him personally for, if I need something welded kind of in a jiffy. I know he's got a hose making machine. He's kind of a repair shop that specializes in farm equipment, agricultural support services, things like that. That's what has led us here with you. Like I say, we've had several meetings with the folks who live on Farm Drive, which, like I say, is right there to the south of the property. I know a few of them are here this evening. I believe that this is a plan that all of us can support. It suits the needs for my wife and I for a new tenant. The two tenants that are there obviously aren't the best at housekeeping. We've all agreed upon that. And moving forwards, this is the best consolidated plan to remove the folks that are there as tenants leasing off of Abraham Properties and move in a sole tenant who can be managed and overseen as a legitimate business, more so than the two businesses that are operating there currently. In working with Trent, the owner of LA Farms, obviously he has some plans for how he would like to make everything look much better than what it is now, including a business sign out at the roadway, which obviously he would have to follow the procedures through the county of filing the application for a sign. There are two addresses there. Each building has a 200 amp service from Duke, and each building does have its own address that are on site, which wouldn't be nearly as important, being that he would be the sole tenant of the entire property. And I believe that might be it, if you have any questions. If I can explain anything in any more detail for you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, questions?
One question.
Yes, sir.
What's the building north of your driveway?
There are 4 or 5 mini storage units operated by Franklin Storage Solutions, yes.
I figured that's what it was, but I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Abraham,
Yes, sir.
You went in front of the Plan Commission, neighbors were against it, correct? Is that my understanding? I'm
Yeah.
not on the Plan Commission.
Yeah, we went in front of them. We tabled the first meeting so that we could have some roundtable with the neighbors. We came to that meeting, agree to disagree. Everyone had their own opinions, and it doesn't matter either way, right? At the end of the day, the goal for Abraham Properties is to move a new tenant in, and this is that foot going forwards to us working with the folks who are around us. They have to live by it. They have to drive by it. So yeah, this is what we needed to do to be compliant with, county statutes or laws or whatever of operating a commercial business in an ag.
What were the neighbors opposed to?
They were opposed mostly to the potential to put this into an I-1. It was, I think, the largest, and they are here. A few of them are here. They can speak on that. Their largest concern was changing this from ag to I-1 was going to be a devaluation if there was an industrial piece of property that laid next to their property. I would say was probably their largest concern.
Does it look like a junkyard?
That's why we're trying to clean it up.
Well, you can be honest. Does it look like a junkyard?
Yeah, from the aerial for sure, yeah. I mean, when the trees have leaves on it, it definitely hides it this time of year. There's definitely a lot of junk back there, one could say, for sure. That's why we're attempting to clean it up.
So, help me understand, again, not hearing any other testimony in any other meetings or any other boards on this. What happens differently with a new tenant in there to make it not look like a junkyard?
Well, first, he's an actual business. He's in this, has been in this for quite some time. The two individuals that are in there now, they were there when I bought the property. And we have a mortgage to make. So we've kind of have tolerated this mess for far too long. Secondly, I would say that by rezoning to, or not rezoning, but by getting a variance for this specific business to be in there, that gives folks around a leg to stand on, right? So this was all in the buffer zone prior to. All of this was built while it was in the Morgantown buffer zone. I think the debate is still out of whether any of it was, put in there right, wrong, or indifferent, but that was in the buffer zone. Now that we're working with the county, I think the difference here is the county oversight once this becomes a use of X, which the X would be the small repair manufacturing site.
So you're going to be selling new farm equipment there as well as?
I don't know that he has any contracts for like new farm equipment. Most all of his stuff would be secondhand. I know like small implements he sells new, rototillers and stuff like that he would buy and purchase new and sell, but the larger pieces of equipment would be secondhand that he would fix up and resell.
How long a lease? Are the people that are in there now renting from you, do they have a lease?
They had a lease. The lease has ran out, and they're just month to month right now.
Okay, and how long a lease? Have you signed one with this new person?
We have not signed one because we're waiting for, we're waiting for the variance to be inked prior to he and I discussing true long-term leases being signed.
How long of a lease have you discussed with him?
I mean, for sure, in the next 48 to 60 months, we would like to lock him down. There's been a lot of push-ups to get to this point for me and my wife, and, there's going to be some work in cleaning what's there up. My envision is that they get mad and walk away, and everything that's there is probably going to be left on me to clean up at my expense. So Trent knows that, he's hopeful that if this goes well this evening, that he can move his operation in by April 1st would be his tentative start date for him to move in, assuming contracts and leases and all that stuff is worked out. So.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Questions for the applicant?
I'll ask when he comes back up.
What was that?
This is difficult because, of course, I know this family and their neighbors. And can I say the name of the previous property owner? These people did not keep, and I'm looking at you people, he did not keep it too neat, did he?
Bill, any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, don't worry.
I think being here this evening was I took out of my last rezoning meeting, and I believe Mr. Maxwell might have said it was, there's a variance for a reason, and that this particular business type of use for this piece of property would best fit in a variance. So that's, taking the advice of those who are chosen to sit on these boards, so that's why we're here.
You bought a junkyard.
I'm trying to clean it up. Is that fair?
You live around this?
Down the road from me.
Yeah, I live just north of town. I don't know, 3 miles north of that, so.
Okay, all right.
That's not by it, but I drive by it frequently, so.
Gentlemen, any other questions for the applicant? Hannah Abraham. Thank you. Marcus Billings.
My name is Marcus Billings. I live at 9103 East Farm Drive, Morgantown, Indiana. A couple of you board members know that in the past, when a variance was sought for the Industrial 1, we fought pretty hard not to put that in. We discussed things with Jeremy, as far as him inheriting this junkyard. The tenant was in there when he purchased the property. Because it was in the buffer zone, it seemed like the town of Morgantown didn't want to enforce any of the rules. It's been an unlicensed junkyard for a long time now. Jeremy's plan, what he shared with us to put in this agricultural repair business, seems in keeping with the ag zoning. Everything that he's told us leads us to believe he's going to clean this up, get everything out of the way, and it'll actually be a legitimate business there. We're kind of at the point where it's like anything would have to be what's existing. In our original opposition, everyone on Farm Drive, our original opposition was the industrial. We thought it was too broad, and at the end of the day, the board agreed with that and denied it. But we think this variance fits well with the area, what he wants to do. And there's only two of us here tonight, but I'm an executor for the Lucinda May Pope Trust, owns a property directly south of it. My house is further south, less than 1,000 feet from this property. And Jeremy's already tried to clean up some of the stuff along there that he can. He's kind of been in a catch-22, or felt like he was, with this existing tenant, because they were allowed to broach the rules and be somewhat of scofflaws about it. And at the same time, like you said, he has a mortgage on it, so he wants to get things paid for. So, if he can get the existing guys out and clean it up, and, this variance seems very limited to us as far as just allowing a, agricultural repair business there. We're in full support of it. So, like I said, we fought long and hard the last two meetings. You board members, Bill and Jason will tell you that we were opposed to just wide open industrial zoning, but this seems like a good fit. It'll allow him to clean it up and, allow him to, use it as the investment property that he wanted it to be, so.
Thank you. A question for you. There's a house in the end of that driveway that's
Directly south, that's Ross and Savannah Keene, yes.
Okay.
They're in favor of it. They were here previously to oppose, but, we forwarded. I came this morning to Laura's office. She was, she's been instrumental in writing things up, and I forwarded them the paperwork that you guys have, and everybody seems to be in favor of it. It's not perfect. I mean, I would love if that was just a field of daisies, and things like that, but where it stands now is untenable. It's a mess. Jeremy's has a plan to clean that up. Our only opposition to the plan was that we thought industrial was too broad, because then anything later on could be brought in there. But this variance seems like it's, it fits the ag zoning, and we think it'll be a lot nicer once the new tenant has a chance to come in. And Jeremy, like he said, he thinks he's going to have to clean it all up, but it should be better for everyone.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen, any other questions for Billings? No? All right. I'm sorry, I can't read your writing, but you live at 9320 East Farm Drive? Yes, I'll pass. Okay. If you don't mind, what is your name so I can write it down here?
Armando Martinez.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. then I have one person signed up as a interested party, Holly Martinez. You're passing, Holly? All right, thank you, folks. All right, anyone else here for this application? Well, you can ask us, come up and ask us a question if you'd like.
I'd like to thank these guys. When this started a few months ago, and I think Laura and my wife were both, it never got heated, but it was definitely contingent. And for her and I, this is a pretty big deal for us financially, and for them to all come together and support us. The things he said tonight were far different than with the first night. So I appreciate them working with us, the countless hours that all of us have spent working on this. I know they've been here for several hours, much like you all. So I appreciate their time in helping us. So thank you.
Fair enough. Thank you. All right. No one else signed up to speak on behalf of, against, for, interested, so we're going to go on here. Again, we have a request for use variance. Mr. Abraham has explained what he intends to do with the property. Again, we need to ensure that the applicant meets the findings of facts. See if I can find those in here. Let me go to another application here. All right, so an application for a use variance. Under 2.1, the statement is the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The applicant writes, the current business plan includes the manufacturing, repair, and sale of agricultural and construction implements. Customer visits will primarily be by appointment only, and deliveries will be similar to typical residential deliveries. Granting this variance will not harm agricultural land or detract from the rural character of Morgan County. Under 2.2, the statement is, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The applicant, to support this, has written, other local landowners will not experience any sights or sounds that are atypical for the area. As a rural property adjacent to a state highway, it already accommodates substantial traffic, including agricultural vehicles and heavy loads. Then in parentheses, semi-trucks, trailers, over-the-road traffic. This use will not generate any greater noise, light, odor, or chemical pollution, nor will it increase traffic volume beyond what is typical for other permitted uses. Under 2.3, the statement is the need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved, and the applicant has written, the area is primarily zoned for agricultural use. Utilizing this property for small agricultural implement manufacturing, repair, and sales aligns with its current capacity and does not represent a significant deviation from its intended use. Under 2.4, the statement is the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which a variance is sought. The applicant, to support his request, has written, the current zoning constitutes unnecessary hardship by limiting our ability to improve the economic activity and quality of life for people living in the vicinity of the property. Under 2.5, the statement is the approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. The applicant has written, as the property is already zoned agricultural, the comprehensive plan permits much larger and louder operations that generate higher traffic volumes. Examples include dairies, feed mills, schools, all of which are permitted uses, as well as mineral excavation, skeet/target shooting range, and private clubs, which are considered special exceptions. These uses would likely produce more noise, increased traffic, and greater light, chemical, sound, or odor pollution than the proposed operation. The surveyor states that a professional stormwater pollution prevention plan will need to be approved by the Morgan County Surveyor's Office prior to any work if the variance is approved. The Health Department states that the Indiana Department of Health will have to be notified to see what the requirements are for your septic system. Not at this time. For the staff's report on this, they, in a nutshell, believe that the petition can satisfy the findings of facts if the agreement can be reached on conditions to install screening along the southern property parallel to Farm Drive and limit the amount of outdoor signage, or outdoor storage. Staff recommends approval of the petitioner's use variance with those conditions applied. So gentlemen, we're open for discussion.
Could I ask Mr. Abraham to come back up?
Sure.
Now, you know what I drive by every day when I go to Morgantown? Equipment.
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I'm used to it, seeing things, farm equipment, that. But what would you be willing to do to alleviate the sight that we assume we're going to have rakes and bush hogs and stuff like that in this area here to help the people on Farm Drive not see what they have there?
I mean, the one area that's the hardest to contain is that.
Against Farm Drive.
Right,
You know, it's quite elevated.
Yeah,
because
Farm Drive's elevated, and I mean, other than the right-of-way that Duke Energy cut right across from that house, and this time of year, right? I mean, when the leaves fall off, there's not much that can be done. I don't exactly know where the property line is. It looks like it's really close to the driveway. To be able to put a fence up there, I don't know how far a fence would have to be off of a property line, but the lay of the land there, to put a fence south of that woods right along their driveway is.
it wouldn't have to be there. It could be around his equipment because he's not going to have too
Right,
much in the
my trouble
woods.
is the elevation difference from the bottom of that driveway to top of that train trellis is probably 60 feet. So if I put a fence at the bottom, I'm just putting a fence up, right? Like, it's not.
But what about just around the buildings where he's going to have stuff stacked and show people?
Yeah, no, we absolutely can. I have no issue with that. Again, with the elevation difference of the driveway, I'm not sure it's going to make any
No,
difference.
you can't put anything up that high.
I mean, it would have to be as tall as the building.
I mean, like a 6 or an 8 foot, 6 foot fence, just, you're not going to be able to cut around all that equipment he's going to be selling. That's going to be an impossibility,
Right.
in my opinion. But a fence that they just don't see it laying there and the weeds that gather around it, because you and I would both look at a piece of equipment and the weeds, but
Right.
they may not understand that.
Right, right, and again, with bringing Trent in is, he has to keep everything looking not like it does now, because he's trying to entice someone to buy it, right? Like, you can't show up and sell a 5-bottom John Deere plow when it's got a tree the size of your arm growing through it. It's just not good for business, right? So, I mean, it's in his benefit to keep this place looking like my place does when you drive by it on Hickey Road, right? I mean, I don't have weeds growing up, and I don't foresee him having weeds growing up either, so.
Well, like I say, I don't mind looking at your equipment,
Right.
but I remember the other meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any other questions.
Nothing else? Okay.
Anybody else?
Gentlemen, any discussion on this?
I think like he said, you can't sell something if it's, looks like the dickens or is in chest-high weeds, and that's what it's been there in the past. And the family that had that ground, Hannah knows who they were. It was the pits, to be quite honest. It was truly a junkyard, and I don't feel we allow him to put this in here, that it will be, just by the nature of the business, a junkyard again.
My thoughts on this is we apply the I-1 rules to this property, not the uses, only the use that he's come here for, and use the I-1 rules, and that'll pretty much take care of the eyesore stuff, having to follow those rules. So, and he was here, he tried to get that. So he's willing to do whatever was in those rules to begin with, so that would be my recommendation.
All right, so I'm not on the plan commission. This is the first I've heard of this other than reading this packet in advance of tonight. And driving by there, I thought, I mean, I always thought it was a junkyard. That's no knock on you. I know you just bought it, but, so I can certainly understand the neighbors' concerns on it. I guess my question would be, it sounds like that from the people that signed up to speak other than the applicant, that they're agreeable to this. You know, it sounds like the applicant has made them promises and commitments. I guess my thought would be, and Ms. Parker, Mr. Peden, help me out with this. I would be in support of this request, but I would want the applicant to come back in, I don't know, a year and see how things are going then. And if there's an issue, then the neighbors have a chance to address it and they don't have to live with it for the rest of their lives. Is that practical? And you're more than welcome to disagree with me.
Yeah, this wouldn't be the first time that you've put that condition on a request, you know, or approval of a request, so that, you know, you let time pass, see how it goes, and it gives everybody the opportunity to come back and voice concerns if they have any, or say, hey, it's going great. So, yeah, that absolutely is an option at your disposal.
We've done that.
Yes.
Yeah, we did that, as I remember, with something out by Monrovia.
It was a disc golf course.
Disc golf course.
One question I've got to ask, this is conditioned on the property so that we do not restrict the Abraham family from selling this. If they would, the same conditions would apply to the new owner.
Right, it would have to be the exact same use that you're approving
Yeah,
here.
but I mean, he could do anything he wants with it because, but it would be a condition of the property.
Right, this doesn't restrict his ability to sell it or
Okay.
lease it, but it has to be whoever wants to use the property or lease it has to
Yeah.
do this exact use and nothing else.
Yeah, Mr. Abraham, I'm not sitting here saying I don't believe you, but it sounds like this has been a problem in the community for a while. So I want to make sure that we're not just approving something to continue on when we have a chance to address it, if that makes sense to you. So, thoughts on that, gentlemen, or other discussion? I mean, that's just my thought. Again, I'm just one of five, but.
Once again, somebody in the retail business is not going to have it looking like a junkyard. There's a spot further down the road from them that looks like a junkyard, but right at the county line. And this has looked pretty deplorable for a lot of years, and nothing was ever done about it. I would live with those conditions, you know, that at the end of a year, they've got to meet certain standards, and but I think we ought to be specific in putting down what those standards are.
My thought isn't to put conditions on this. My thought is that he's made commitments. He's had one-on-one discussions with his neighbors outside of this meeting. I don't know if it was outside of the Plan Commission meeting as well. He's nodding his head yes. His neighbors are putting a level of trust in him. They came in and spoke in support of this tonight. I just want a little bit of I don't know, something that maybe holds Mr. Abraham's feet to the fire, not that he necessarily needs it to make sure all these things get done. And if he doesn't, then his neighbors have an opportunity to come in and readdress it.
John? Two things that kind of impressed me was that he's trying to clean it up, and he's employing 5 employees, right?
You know what, I'm surprised that there's not 30 people out there instead of just 3, because we've had that, and they made a very good, excellent presentation on the I-1 thing, and frankly, their passion made it easy for us to vote the way we do, which was, I believe, a unanimous vote. And they've looked at this eyesore for years, and as my wife and I were talking, we actually bought a car years ago from the Baumans for our daughter's college, but it's run by a different family now, and it's going to be, I think, even if he sells it, which wouldn't surprise me from what the conversations we had in the past, but putting in the conditions about how it looks, it'd be an excellent choice for the area.
And the reason I don't know if you guys know what the rules for I-1 are. It takes care of, it'd make that not in compliance, what's there right now. Any inoperable vehicles, anything would have to be screened or in buildings. Anything that's not for direct sale has to be hidden. That's why I thought that kind of, if we just slap those rules on it, it should take care of the place, everything everyone's concerned about.
And to your point, he agreed to follow these previously?
Yeah, he came before the planning commission to get zoned I-1.
Okay.
So he was willing to do all this anyways. So to me, it's the simplest way to do it is just apply these rules to it, but not the uses, just the use that he's applied for. Because the problem was the neighbors were afraid we rezone, he sells it and they bring in, you know, one of these other things that's loud or messy and you don't want to live by. So that's where the rub was between him and the neighbors. And so as a planning commission, several of us kind of hinted this would probably be the way to go. And that way the neighbors don't have to worry about it ever being anything other than something like this. So that's the history on it.
Okay. Would you be opposed to giving it a little more teeth and have him come back here a year from now?
I guess my problem might be the person he's going to be wanting to sign a contract with. I wouldn't want to sign a contract if there's a chance in 1 year it's going to go away. Am I right in this thinking? Because what are we going to do if he's not in compliance?
Having done leases, commercial leases for a lot of, or several years, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But the things that are, as I quickly glance through this definition of the I-1, those are things that are going to be solely in control of that person running that business. Correct?
Yes, but correct me if I'm wrong. The person we're talking about now and the person we were talking about when we were discussing the I zoning are the same people. And they were willing to live under them. He wants some security if he does this property, puts a business in there, eventually buys it or anything else that happens, that he has some rules that he does not have where he is now. And if Jason would put into a motion that we follow those rules, anytime they're not followed, we could do something about it. Granted, we're not a police force, but we have rules set up, and I can't, like Jason, I'd like to get it over with, I guess, be a good way to put it. But I think doing that would make it fair for everybody.
Because I think the point you're making is, if we give these rules, we'll have the same teeth as if we have them come back in a year. It's really not any different.
Okay.
The planning commission office takes care of, I mean, that's what they look around in the county for, is to find these violations, or when they get calls about violations, and, you know, tell the people they need to get in compliance or whatever, so, I don't know if that would bother if he had come back in a year. It would to me if I was gonna put my business there and, oh, but in a year you might have to move because, the BZA might not want you to still be here.
I understand where you're coming from. My thought is if he's following those rules, it's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
All right.
No, I don't think it's a necessary thing personally on this one. This one's a little different.
Why we have
than-
discussion,
Yeah.
right? So,
Disc golf, like that's one used, that one was,
yeah.
to me, if that had to go away, it's not gonna affect as many people.
And I don't think he has the ability to make it look as bad as it did.
Yeah, sometimes, a lot of times, we just gotta have faith that people are gonna do what they've told us they're gonna do and testified to, and
And I agree with you on that
sometimes it
100%, but
bites
we've
you in the
been burnt
butt,
in
and
the
sometimes
past.
it
I'm
works
just-
out.
It's one thing for them not to follow what we tell them to do. Chances are I don't live next to it and have to see it and deal with it
And
every day.
this isn't his mess. He's stated that many times. He wants to get it going, but he needs a capital or someone in there to be able to afford to get it cleaned up, so.
All right.
Kind of chicken and egg kind of thing here, so.
And if your business is running pretty tight and heavy, I work with my two brothers, and I'll tell you what, it's easy to get stuff clattered up when you're busy all the time. It takes a while to clean up stuff.
Oh, if I had my garage door open right now, my neighbors would probably be in here complaining about the way everything looked. I just want to try, I got no reason to believe Mr. Abraham's not going to do what he's going to do. Seems like a stand-up guy. If his neighbors believe him, that's more important.
And they're
To
gonna
me.
let us know if we applied those rules and they're not getting followed in a year, that Laura will know about it, so.
I guarantee you, they have a hotline to my office, so if they even see anything happening, they're gonna let us know before it gets too far gone. Because the whole benefit of this is getting it cleaned up to where it's tolerable.
I really think this is probably the best way to go to get that place cleaned up and not be such an eyesore and be useful.
All right, well, unless there's other discussion that needs to be had, we could open for a motion. Any other discussion? I'll
I'm
open for a
content.
motion.
You gonna read that?
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
We're open for one.
Okay, I'll move that we approve petition U-24-06 with all the findings of fact being found true, and would like to apply all the I-1 UDO rules applied, but not the permitted uses for I-1, except the use that was stated in the petition.
Thank you. I have a motion with condition. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. It's approved. Thank you very much. All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is our BZA attorney's report. Mr. Feeden, do we have anything this evening? Nope. Next thing on the agenda under staff reports is from the plan director. Ms. Parker, do we have anything this evening? Okay, all right. Nothing else on the agenda, any other business? Open for a motion to adjourn.
Move the meeting be adjourned.
Second by Jerry. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.